We're live. Welcome to the HighBrarians on the Guna channel. I'm here, of course. Where else would I be? Where else would you be? And I'm joined, as ever, by the man from tomorrow, the man with the answers. Scott, how the hell are you?
I'm marvellous, mate. How are you?
Marvellous. Well, do you know what? Apparently, according to everybody else who's not an Arsenal fan, I should be absolutely gutted that we're out of the League Cup. But do you know what? There's only a few of us who are old enough to remember last time we won it. And I have a theory. I think that Steve Morrow has cursed us. Do you remember Steve Morrow?
I know the name.
When Tony, after the 93 Cup win, which, you know, was only exciting because we still had the FA Cup to come. So we won both that year. First team to do that. After the game, after he'd scored the winner, Tony Adams lifted him up in celebration and dropped him, and he broke his arm and had to be rushed straight to the hospital. And I think we've not won it since then.
So it's the curse.
The curse, yeah. I mean, how are you going to feel bad about not winning a trophy we never win? Like, you know, how do you feel about it?
You know, I have seen people saying the object of this is elite sport is to win trophies, and if you say that the League Cup doesn't mean anything, you've got weak mentality. Well, it doesn't mean anything to me. It never has. You know.
Do you know what's pissing me off though? Like, we put out a second string team because it's a squad game, right? Now, we'll talk about it in detail, I'm sure. But so did Eddie Howe, by the way. Does Eddie Howe not have elite mentality? He got to the final last season. He put out a second string team. All right, it was against the dead man walking and his team of the Walking Dead, but they got through. You know, I think the team we put out there, if they'd all turned up and played well, we would have beaten West Ham. West Ham didn't beat us, by the way. We beat ourselves. I mean,
silly mistakes.
Just a poor performance.
Piss poor. It was.
That Ben White header. Like, what was that?
I you know, I'm looking at that header again. I'm thinking, how does that happen? How does he head it like that into his net? Has he been?
With no one in the box. Yeah.
Nobody on him. Has he been meeting up with Ivan Toney on some betting tips?
Well, I thought it was part of the deal when we signed Declan Rice. That's a touch of what's wrong with Zinchenko, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but Zinchenko doesn't look right, does he? You know, he got caught about 3 times on his side.
He looked great in the middle. He looked great up front. He looked great in that midfield role, but he just didn't look very good at the back. That's all. He just didn't, I mean, Kudos hasn't looked that good since he joined.
Yeah, and I think we've touched on it before with Zinchenko. Like, are we ever going to get this possibility of him moving further forward? Well, to me, he's not a defender, is he? You know, it's great what he does going forward.
I mean, all right, I'll take that. But you know, what I think there is a point to be made here for if his whole job was to defend, I think he'd do a decent job of it. But if you're asking him to be both ends of the pitch, I don't think he's transitionally quick enough. And I think that when it comes to it, his focus for that Kudos. I have a feeling, Tommy. My thinking on this one is, let's just play him in the midfield, eh? You know, like I tell you, West Ham didn't look in the game at all. We gave them a goal, and they still didn't look in it. Then they had that 15-minute spell in the second half where their tails were up, and you know, Bowen's shot goes in off Kivior's thigh. Kudos, obviously, that lovely. I mean, Ramsdale had a mare, didn't he?
You know, so if you look at it, we've got the Ben White mistake, we've got the Kiwior deflection, and then we've got Zinchenko just giving Kudos too much space on the ball. You know, they're just silly little errors, aren't they? And
well, I mean, they're pretty catastrophic. pretty catastrophic. Yeah. I mean, Zinchenko gets tied up in ribbons, you know. That third goal, I know it's a deflection, but it makes Ramsdale look totally. I mean, he just didn't have a good game. You know, I think for me, you know, you can say what you like about we didn't take it seriously enough. If you're not going to play Ramsdale in the League Cup, when are you going to play him? If you're not going to play Fabio Vieira in the League Cup, when are you going to play him? We should be able to. We should have a 25-man squad that's strong enough to win away to West Ham without having to risk. Because it's the same every season. I think Arteta in the press conference afterwards was really angry because he said it was going to be a tough game. He tried to prep these players, and I think the players just let him down. I think, to be honest,
when I watched it, the players they didn't look very interested, Dan.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, they didn't look bothered, and maybe on that goal as well. I think probably Ramsdale was infringed. They were pulling his shirt to bits, weren't they? But
yeah,
there's no VAR, is there, in the League Cup?
And I'm glad about that. You know, it's nice to have some games every season where you don't have to worry about celebrating goals. But I think you're absolutely, that's exactly how I felt. There are just some games every season I watch us play where we don't seem to care at all. And Eddie Nketiah walking around, Fabio Vieira, Kai Havertz, I think always looks like. I don't think Kai Havertz had a terrible game, to be honest with you.
I actually think Kai Havertz tried.
I think he did. I think he just lacks confidence. So I'd like to drop him just to give him a chance to, you know, because the spotlight's on him, and I don't think he's dealing with it well. I think Ramsdale's.
I think what we've established here, Trossard is not a game starter.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like weird. If you watch every time he's started a game, he's not been good, and maybe it's one of them situations where he's better sitting on the bench, like Ole Gunnar was, and he's reading the game. He's like going, right, this is where I need to inject myself, and he's maybe better working like that. And sadly, he reminds me of Ollie as a super sub, because the amount of times he's come on as a sub and saved James.
It's definitely a. He watches the game well from the bench and comes on and knows what he wants to do before. You got to hope he's still going to be able to do it in the starting position, because, to be honest with you, we're in a bit of shit here, because Eddie Nketiah turns up like he did against West Ham at St James's Park, and we might as well leave him at home.
I'm very worried about that.
Shawkers is here. Don't be worried. Don't be worried. Don't live in fear of Newcastle. I tell you what, though. I mean, it is a tough old match, that one. I want a draw out of it. I'll take that. Would you take a draw right now?
I will take a draw at St James's Park without a doubt, because it's such an intimidating place.
Yeah, horrible. It's horrible.
They've got that one stand, and it's ginormous, isn't it?
Yeah, it just goes straight up to the gods.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think plus once their spirits are good, you know, we've been to St James's Park over the years where the fans have been a bit like, oh. You know, they've had some torrid times. Right now, I'm kind of welcome that they gave PSG. Imagine.
Yeah. What do you think of having two left-footed centre backs? Do you think it has to be a left footer and a right footer?
Different. I was saying, if you go back to the days of Tony Adams, Martin Keough, and Steve Bold, everyone was right-footed. It didn't seem to make a difference back then.
That's a good point. You know, because I have seen.
You know, I think ultimately, I've never heard anyone who was a centre back saying that. I think it probably helps. You know, we've got a left footer on the right wing and a right footer on the left wing, but we've got a left footed on the left centre back and a right. I don't know. Doesn't it apply? I mean, does it Listen, if you're good enough,
be honest, nowadays with the modern game, you've got to be good enough on both feet anyway, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what definitive advantage being left-footed as a left-sided centre-back gives you, except if you're slightly turned at an angle and you've got to tackle the guy coming down that wing. I'm sure there's ways around it. Listen, for me, I would be playing Saliba and Gabriel whenever possible. And right now, but I think we'll get to potential lineups for Newcastle. I think the West Ham game, I just want to go back over this kind of because other fans are expecting us to be crestfallen. And, this is so lazy, this narrative of we didn't take it seriously enough. Did Man City take it seriously enough? Did Tottenham take it seriously enough? Did Arsenal take it seriously enough? All the teams that are out didn't take it seriously enough because if you take it super seriously, you just focus on that. What if Arteta plays the full? I think you need to rest players. You can't be playing the Champions League, the League Cup, and the Premier League, and then when it comes up the FA Cup, there's going to be a point where you have 25 men in the squad. If people criticizing Arteta for not having a good enough squad, I'd understand that because you start to look at players like Eddie and you start to look at players like Fabio Vieira and Kai Havertz is getting a lot of stick again, and you think, are they good enough? But a couple of weeks ago, we had two keepers that were too good. Now you could argue that I'm glad we got Raya, to be honest with you. And Fabio Vieira looked great against Fulham. He should be playing. We had people saying he's better than Havertz. Now we've got this situation where I think we saw that Fabio Vieira's character's not quite right. I don't think he's a...
What do you think of Jorginho, Havertz and Fabio as that midfield? Because I probably don't want to see that again.
Listen, I don't think they were the problem. I don't think they create... No, not really. I think the problem is it wasn't just them.
Anything.
No, he had one or two key passes. No, I don't think he was bad though. I think the problem is you're thinking of it like there was Fabio, Kai Havertz, and Odegaard, right? I don't know what's distracting you, but it is distracting me now.
Sorry. Somebody's just come in. They've just had a buying mission, and I'm looking at what's coming in. I'm thinking, what is that?
Get the blinkers on. The millions watching deserve your focus.
Yes.
So, I think the problem is, right? The problem is you're thinking of it like it was Fabio Vieira, Odegaard, and Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
And Zinchenko's in there as well with Trossard. We were all up in their third, and no one really seemed to know how to move off the ball. Our problem wasn't those three players. I don't think Jorginho did anything typically wrong. I think the problem is we had no movement up front. I think Reece Nelson was doing a bit. He was laying the ball on. Eddie. Supposed to do that if you're a midfielder.
I know. Hey, I honestly think Nelson did try though. I thought he gave it a bit.
Great, well done. That's the least you expect. Chalkers has said their mindset and concentration were not there. To lose is okay, but they didn't try. I feel the same way. I feel like every now and again you watch an Arsenal game, and every now and again you just find yourself going, "Oh, it's one of those." Oh, it's Everton last year. Lens.
And if you looked at the end of the game when the whistle blew, I looked at Odegaard and he sort of went, "Oh, damn." Like out of his hands, like, oh.
I thought Odegaard. The only positive I took out of it was when Odegaard came on, captain Norway. Yeah. I just thought
it was a great goal, but at that stage, I didn't clap for it. I just went, good.
No one clapped. Do you know what I mean? Like I said on the Facebook post, when he was bringing on Saka and Martinelli, I was like, you could bring on Avengers Assembled and not beat this lot from here. Do you know what I mean? What's the point? Like, what are you saying? I would say you're staying on that pitch now, guys. You're staying on there. And if we get back...
At half time, would you have made changes if you was the manager?
Okay, yes, but probably not the number of changes it would have taken. Because at half time, I don't remember feeling like this was done. I thought, we'll come back in it. We might get a goal. It might go to penalties, whatever. But I think we've got enough in us to beat this lot. And it was that 15-minute spell after the start of the second half that did for us.
Because, personally, I think El Neni could have gave us something in that game.
I compared to, what Chalkers is saying, mindset and concentration, desire was not there. And our first team, you get that every time. I can't remember the last time I saw a lackluster performance from Saka or from one of those guys. So for me, I think if the concentration and mindset aren't there, then it's a problem. And El Neni gives you fight and determination, but he's nobody's first choice in that position, is he?
But he'll always give you a 7 out of 10. He'll always just.
I mean, it's hard. He's been out for that long. Would you really? I wasn't too bothered with the starting lineup, so at half time, I don't think I would have brought on Saka, Martinelli. I think I probably would have taken Eddie off. I probably would have taken. Who are you thinking to take off at half time?
Maybe Fabio. Just because I just didn't think he was. I just didn't think he was bringing anything at all. And out of the midfield, I actually thought Havertz was trying. He had a couple of good interceptions. He had some good head flick-ons. I thought Havertz was really trying. Obviously, I can see that he still lacks confidence, but I really did think he was giving it a good go. And when we talk about we've had rotation and all this and that, well, Trossard's a 30 million player. Havertz is 60 million. We've got plenty of good players still on the pitch, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's hard for me because I've kind of given up on Fabio now. I just don't like him, and it's becoming difficult. I prefer Havertz to Fabio.
I would agree.
But I just don't think he's. I don't think he's an Arsenal player. I think he's not fighting for the badge. I think he's undoubtedly technically good enough, but that's half the battle. What you get from players that have that spirit and determination is more than you get from the players that have the skill. So for me, I'd be ditching Fabio early. Lee's here. Welcome to football, Dad's Army.
Yes, I am, Lee.
Aren't we all?
Apparently not, Dan. Apparently you're chilling with it. You're all right about it.
I'm super chill, bro. It's like Newcastle got up there, get 3 points, isn't it? Like Tottenham did last season. It was like, do you know what I mean? Like we've had a tough first 10 games, and it's not getting any easier. And fair's fair, man. Like you've got to play them all. We've got to go and play them. I think we're going up there relatively injury free and rested as you can be. Unfortunately, so are they. They've got a lot of injuries.
If you watch Havertz, he pretty much wins every header.
Listen, I don't have a problem with Havertz. I just think that his confidence is taking a battering, and it would do, wouldn't it?
I am warming to him, mate, and I can see the benefits of having him and how he would, how he comes into play for us. But you are right; he will get there eventually. Well, I hope he does because he has to.
There's no rush, is there? We don't need him to get really quick.
No.
And then we got Face It Kai will never have a pie named after him.
Hey, here's the funny thing.
Listen,
here's a funny thing for you. In New Zealand, in the Māori language, the word Kai means food as well.
Yeah. He's not, and yet he's not hungry enough. But bum.
No.
Listen. I think let's put Kai to one side for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with him.
Because he's new to the club, and all this. We spent 65 million on him. Yeah, if it was my money, I probably want. But I haven't had a chat with Arteta. Arteta, if you're watching this, give me a bell. I want to know what you saw in him. I want to know what you see in him, what you see for him, what you expect of him. There's a really good.
Lee's opinion. We know Lee's opinion on Kai.
Yeah, I remember me, Lee, and Sean did a pre-season talk about him, and me and Lee were both on the same page. Why have we signed this guy? He's one of ours now, so I'm parking that conversation. Here we've got, they haven't got Isaac and a few others, but they still smashed Man United. Yeah, to be fair,
Man United.
Port Vale. They are bobbins. They are so bad at the moment.
I think the thing is with Man United, mate, is they need to accept they are never going to be the Alex Ferguson United ever. It's gone. You know, that whole thing.
Yeah. Mate, right now they'd be happy with being the Ron Atkinson Man United. Never mind the Alex Ferguson United.
But the thing is, I don't think Man United will ever be that team again. And the fan base just can't accept it that they're not that anymore because Alex Ferguson was so much for them. You know, he did so much.
You know, most of this fan base, you know, shoot me down, reclip this, send it round. Let me know if you're a Man United fan. Most Man United fans I know over a certain age are only Man United fans because they were such a big club. Where were all these Man United fans before Alex Ferguson? And where were all these Man United fans when Alex Ferguson was the guy was holding up the banner going, Fergie, it's time to go? You know? So Man United, when I was getting into football, were that team that had just not done anything for decades, and still a big club. But now most of the people that support Man United are doing it because they think that Man United is just this winning machine. You get what you deserve. Same with Chelsea fans. Good luck with that.
Sure, because he's on fire.
Yeah. Is Fabio just... I'm not interested in Fabio. But, I was all right giving him one season to settle in because he's new and he's from Portugal and he might be Pires-like, and Pires took a season to come in. But it's time to call it, send him to train with the reserves. He's just not up for it. He's not.
Do you think January will be sent out on loan time?
I don't think they're going to send Fabio out on loan. I don't think.
No.
I think Arteta's too stubborn for that. I don't think he's. I don't think. Yeah. Plus, also, I don't think they'll loan him. They'll sell him if they don't loan him.
I saw the other day that Mark. Is it Marquinhos? Can't say it. Is it Marquinhos? Oh, it just broke up. Froze for a second.
I think it's Marquinhos.
Yeah, he's not getting any.
I think it's Marquinhos.
He's had one start since he's been out on loan, and I read yesterday we're going to recall him because we're not getting.
Do what with him?
Yeah, well, I believe that the Marquinhos deal was not. There was something not right there. This player was free, and then Adu gave him a bit of here's a nifty 3 million because it'll help you guys. I think it was something about they need facilities and new training facilities, and it's almost like it's a gesture because we'll get first pick on new guys. Do you think there's some truth to that?
No.
You don't?
Marquinhos. No, listen, I don't know anything about it, and 3 million is so negligible in today's transfer market. I think we would sell him for more than that.
But when I've seen
to a championship side,
I've thought he's a really
that one good game.
Yeah, but he's a real stocky lad. But when I've seen him, he just yeah, he's a butch boy, but he seems to get knocked
lovely.
Off the ball
I love what he does on the ball.
And it's clear. He just seems to get knocked off the ball, that Marquinhos, and he was such a stocky lad. Mate, have you heard about?
I watched him a little bit for Norwich last season. Knee injury. What do you want to say to that? Like he's weeks away. He's not coming back this year.
Thing is, though, it's not. Have we heard what it is? Is it just a strain? It's not a crucial ligament or anything, is it?
No. It's nothing. It's not a month's out, but it is probably a 6-weeker. I would guess. So ESR must have pissed Arteta off. Is that Lee? Is that you saying you think that Arteta's kicked him in the knee or something? I think he would have played last night. He's just unlucky. And I think he started him against Sheffield United, and that was a generous thing to do because playing against Sheffield United is a free run, isn't it?
I think and I liked seeing what I saw from him, but you can just tell he's not quite up with the play at the minute. He's not quite sharp enough, is he?
You It was his first start in 499 days.
Not having it.
He's not going to be up with a game yet, so he's out. No. Look, I think Emil Smith Rowe. It's so important to so many fans, and I don't think it's listen, let's just fingers are crossed all over the place. I mean, on the one side, the darker side of me thinks if he's injured in January, that's no bad thing either, because then they can't sell him. He has a place in this team. He's better than Fabio for me. He should be starting ahead of Kai Havertz for me. He's got so much about him that I like, and I'm not ready to give up on him, and I don't think Arteta is. But was he a GG bung? Is that what you were saying about Marquinhos? Do you think Marquinhos was a George Graham bung?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, basically, he was free, mate, and we gave money for him. We didn't have to. So there's something not, and I'm thinking, is this a dude keeping his Brazilian boys happy? And now I'm verging on David Icke conspiracy theory, here. But
no, I love a conspiracy theory, mate. Right? Let's get something wild out there. Let's start something. Is he an alien and shit? Let's do something crazy. Let's have a heated debate. No, listen. I don't know. Are they any good at football? Who are some of the other lizard people? Do you know? Is Fabio a lizard people? Because
yeah. But
Marquinhos,
I would have
unsolicited gift. He is on fire today. Chalkers, we love you.
I would have liked to have.
Return to sender. Yeah, of course he would have. Of course he would have started him against. I mean, it was in the plan. That was, get game time against Sheffield United, play him. Yeah. It's unlucky. And he's just unlucky.
I had no issue with Kiwior starting Nelson. I had no issue with the team, apart from I was a little bit I did think the Fabio Havertz thing was a little bit lightweight. What do you think about Jorginho?
Yeah. No, I like Jorginho. I'm a big fan. I like what he gives us. I thought he had a good game. I thought actually the midfield was not spectacular, but was not the problem. I think if you're looking at problems, look at a back five.
Did you just say a back five? I missed that. Did you just say you want to play a back five? Yep. I think Dan's froze himself up with that comment.
Sorry, my internet just went there briefly.
Did you just mention a back five?
Huh?
Did you say something about playing a back five?
Yeah, I thought Ramsdale had his worst game in an Arsenal shirt. No, I said if you're looking for where the problem was against West Ham, I blame the back five. I'd say Ramsdale had his worst game in goal ever. I think Benjamin White scored for them. That's not good. I thought Gabriel looked, of the four defenders, okay. Zinchenko wasn't defending, and Kiwior had a bit of a bad game. I don't think. I mean, they had what, 3 shots and scored 3 goals. That's not great defending.
I think what the problem with Ramsdale is, he knew he had to come in and put in one hell of a performance, and no, I can't blame him. No, I can't blame him for a couple of them goals.
I can't. It's not about blaming him for a couple of goals. I think let's first of all, he gets dragged down for the first one. Nothing you can do about that. Yeah. The second one, you'd have to be really harsh to blame him. If he'd saved, that would have been one of the best saves he's ever made. And for the one that comes off Kiwior's knee, that's not great. But at the end of the day, I don't really care how good your keeper is. If he keeps clean sheets and he looks rubbish, I'm playing him. And if he looks sensational and lets in 3 goals, I'm dropping him. And that's just how football is. And, he'll get other chances because he's got to play against Brentford, because we can't play Raya against Brentford. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the game before Brentford.
But I do think at this stage, I think Ramsdale has definitely lost his position.
Yeah, no doubt. And to be honest with you, I think it's really interesting because when he first lost his position, we were thought, is he just losing out for a couple of games? When it became clearer and clearer that he was not the number one choice anymore, he wasn't going to be playing, Then fans started saying, "Oh, it's unfair. What's happened to him?" And if I ran a poll, or if you did a poll back then, it was about 70% of people thought he should be the number one. I bet if you did that poll now, it'd be about 45%. And in a couple of weeks' time, it'll be 30%. And that's just life. That's life at top level elite sports. He's got a few years on Raya. If he's as good as he looked last season, and last season he was keeper of the year, then he'll come back. We'll see him again. But at the moment, if your life depended on us keeping a clean sheet, are you putting him in over Raya?
No.
There you go. They've had a similar number of games. Raya's kept a lot more clean sheets. If you go on the Arsenal.com website and you look at the stats that accompany the squad players, the stats are all in favour of Raya. There isn't any. I mean, his distribution is better, his saves are better, his shot stopping is better, believe it or not. So, I think it's really harsh on Ramsdale. But if let me put it to you this way. Let's say Ansu Fati, who is the Barcelona prodigy that's on loan at Brighton, and I happen to think is a wonderful footballer. If he came to Arsenal and, Martinelli was starting on the left, but Ansu Fati came in and suddenly started playing like a genius, after a while, you'd be all right with Martinelli getting dropped. If he went up instead of Jesus up front, if we went out and signed Evan Ferguson, and at the start of next season, we started playing Ferguson and he was scoring more than a goal a game and looked amazing. Every great footballer that we've loved, with the exception of a few legends, has been replaced by someone better.
I agree. They all, it's inevitable players move on. Obviously not Saka, like we've discussed before. But they do. And I can't be sentimental about this because we have been so long without a trophy. I just want to bloody win, mate, and I don't care. If Ramsdale's upset or whatever. It's the way it goes, mate. He does get paid over 100 grand.
No one does.
No, I'm not bothered, mate.
No one cares.
No.
Why would anyone care? Why would anyone care? I mean, like his parents care, but even Ramsdale's not come out and said he cares. Like, what? This is elite sports. Ramsdale's not the only person who's not getting in the goal between the sticks. Carl Hayne isn't either. Okonkwo had to go on loan. Martinez never got his crack. But Leno's now playing at Fulham. Who comes in and keeps their place when there's a better player?
I think I said that before. You can hardly get Ramsdale on the bench moaning to Haynes going, I'm not getting game time.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think he's that kind of guy anyway. I don't think a lot of the reports, I might be just media manipulation, but everyone's been saying that Ramsdale's taking it really well. Every time I've heard him speak about it, he's done really well. He did that lovely interview after his dad had a go at Jamie Carragher. And he said, my dad...
Yeah.
No, his dad, he said, my dad had a drink. I wish he hadn't said anything, but it's tough for your father. It's going to be like the first one to go. You leave him alone. I love that he's got a supportive family. I think it's the cornerstone of every good life is built around a strong family, But look, do I feel bad for him? I feel bad for everyone who doesn't get to play for Arsenal. I haven't had a call up. He still has a chance. I don't think we're ruling him out of taking back his spot.
When I was at school, I had a trial for Nottingham Forest. They said I was crap. I got nowhere.
Well, there you go. I've never even got to the trial stage.
Back in the days, where we were, they used to bring them to your school, to do all that back in the day. But now they said I was crap.
Yeah,
couldn't even get in Forest.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was never good. I wasn't like one of those kids that was picked first at school, so. No, I was never really able to play the game. I just love watching it, and I do have sympathy for an elite sportsman. I think a lot has been made of the fact that he'll definitely leave, and I can understand that there is pressure on him too. But there's got to be a fight in you to stay and win your place back, or you're probably not the right guy anyway, are you?
Yeah,
because Lee's asked, do Zinchenko should be dropped for Tommy against?
Yes.
Okay, so should we do this? Because I have an opinion on this, as I do in most things. The lineup, we've tried. Emil Smith-Rowe's out injured, so he's not the answer there. I would be dropping Havertz just because, I think we're going to Newcastle. There's two choices in my opinion. One is you play Jorginho and Declan Rice with Odegaard just ahead of them as a sort of double pivot. But what's wrong with a back four? So Raya in goal, I think that's going to happen anyway. Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, because Tomiyasu is outstanding at the moment. Then ahead of that...
He's looking like that first season player we got again.
Love him. Absolutely love him. Yeah. Looks strong, athletic. He's part... Yeah, look. All right, so we're all agreed on that. Now, up ahead of that, Declan Rice. Then Odegaard in that right 8 position, or the 10, whatever you want to call it. And in the left, let's put Zinni in there. Let's just go, Zinni, just play in the midfield, mate. Don't worry about defending, because he hasn't played badly in midfield. He's played badly at the back.
I would like to see him play that 8 well.
Why not? Why don't we? He's a midfield who can play at left back, but not recently and not well. And last season, we were very. And then up front, I would say Saka, Martinelli, and I would probably play Havertz, because I'm so pissed off with Eddie for the way he played on last night. I am just pissed off with him. I think it goes back to what Chalkers was saying. There was no, if you're not running off the ball, if you're walking around, I mean, he was shocking yesterday, absolutely shocking. He spent more time in the centre circle than he did in the box.
Would you like to see Trossard play the 8 with Martinelli on the left?
No, I absolutely don't want to see Trossard play the 8. I don't. I want to see Zinni play there, because that's where Zinni's been playing anyway. Like, Zinni keeps getting in the way of everyone, because yesterday we had 3 midfielders and Zinni in there, you know, and it wasn't as if there was a good communication that someone else was tracking back for him. That wasn't happening. So for me, let's just put Zinni in the midfield. It could be the answer.
It could be.
You know?
Versatile. There's that nice.
What do you mean, Lee? Versatile ain't... I know.
I think he's on about Zinchenko.
But, you know, I get it. Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. Zinchenko is playing in midfield. It's not like he isn't playing in midfield. If you look at the heat map from yesterday's game, you can see why we keep conceding down the left. Because the guy who you think is playing down the left isn't. And when he is there, he doesn't look like a fullback, you know. So for me, I think he played really well. I like Zinchenko a lot. I like him. I think he's got fight. I think he was probably, him and Gabriel were okay yesterday, but not good enough. And you were right. You were talking about Zinchenko. Look, I think up front, as a manager, when Arteta did the press conference after the match, he was angry. He was like, I've spent the last 48 hours telling these players to take this seriously, to give this, because West Ham are not going to give us anything. And they went out and played like that. And he was basically admitting that West Ham had... And then West Ham didn't play well either. They were lucky. They didn't look... I mean, they looked rubbish and scored their 3 goals. That could easily have been a 2-1, and then you're still bad. But I would be sitting down with Eddie and Ketia in the office first thing this morning going, what are you playing at? What was that? Do you feel like you worked hard enough? Did you get involved enough? Is it my fault that you can't concentrate? Is it 1 good game, 3 bad games? Is that what I'm going to get from you? Because that's not good enough at Arsenal.
But that's kind of...
It's not good enough in the Premier League. And I think, you know what? Like, if you can't go out there when you're needed, at least show something. I think Chalkers, you know, you've summed up how I'm feeling, and I know it's how you're feeling as well, Scott. I don't mind losing. I just can't bear when we don't turn up. You know, when the game against Lens, it was like, it just didn't seem to give a shit. And if you're going to walk around, when you're playing in West Ham's third and they're not really giving you anything, and there's no runs being made, it's the easiest thing in the world to defend against. And God, you know what the low point in that game for me was? Watching Ramsdale passing it at the back and just going, look, at a certain point, they're not biting. West Ham are not charging forward at you. And even if they are, you're only passing it sideways anyway. It was like everything that's wrong. Oh,
yeah,
it's awful.
I know exactly the moment you're on, and he's like trying to invite the press on, isn't he?
And then there's a point where they nearly tackled him, and then he kicks it long anyway, and his long passing has been a weakness for a while.
Yeah. It's funny because when we first got Ramsdale, we were praising his long pass, weren't we?
Yeah, I think it's comparatively bad. I don't think it's bad by standards of a normal keeper. I think it's just that Raya is really good at it. You know?
Brilliant.
Excuse me. So, and it does mix up our play a little bit. I don't think Raya would have saved any of the shots yesterday. This is one of the things, isn't it, about having a League Cup where Ramsdale plays. I don't know. I think after the Newcastle, we've got a fairly straightforward run of games. You know, not to tempt fate, but I would be surprised if we don't see some rotation. And as I said before, we have to, you know, after Newcastle, we've got Sevilla at home, Burnley at home, and Brentford away. Now, the Brentford away match, we have to play Ramsdale. We're not allowed to play Raya. My gut feeling would be, that being the case, he'll probably bring him in for the Burnley game. So in the Burnley and Brentford game, Ramsdale's going to get, at least in one of those, he's going to get a chance to show that what he's really made of. And I hope he does it.
How are you feeling about that Sevilla game?
Yeah, right. Really good. Really good. You know what? There's that Robbie Lyle at AFTV got slaughtered for saying we've got bigger fish to fry. And taken out of context, you can understand why people think it's arrogant. What he was really saying about the Europa League last season is we don't have a strong enough squad to play to win both. Because we can't play everybody all the time. They'll get knackered, and the run into the season will fall behind Man City. Right? It's the same now. If you don't play Fabio Vieira, Kai Havertz, Reece Nelson in games like the League Cup, what are they there for? In which case, you've got a squad of 15 or 12, and you can't win a league against a squad like Man City's with 12 people. So I think we did the right thing in playing lesser players, just like Eddie Howe did, and got owned and got through. And you know, so I think, look, we've got games in the Champions League. All that matters in the Champions League is that you get 10 points, you get out of that group. You don't get a trophy for winning your Champions League group. You do get a slightly easier draw sometimes, but you can't guarantee that. All I want is pick up 9 points at home, 1 point on the road. We've done better than that already. So if we draw to Sevilla at home, I'm not going to lose my sleep over it. You know, I'm going to go, fair enough.
But people do, don't they? They do, because they expect that you'll win every game and all this. It's like I don't believe we'll ever see an invincible season from a team again.
Here's a question. Okay, so Sean and I were talking about this earlier in the week. Here's a question for you. What is the better achievement, Invincible or Centurions? Get involved, Lee. Get involved, Chalkers. What would you rather? Obviously, Man City went to 100 points. We did Invincible. That Invincible season, I was at every home game, and there were some that weren't great.
I'm going to go Invincibles. But like you said, a lot of them games that we won that season, or whatever, or some of them, they were real hard fought draws, weren't they?
We drew home and away with Portsmouth.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you have
in the Champions League.
You know, you've just got to grind out results, mate. It can't always be pretty, can it?
No.
You know,
and I think I like that we've done it and no one else has done it, but no one else has done Centurions, unless I'm wrong. I think it's something that we're all really proud of, but I think it's become a weight on the shoulders of all the players that play now. You know, it's too much in this. Like, all right. So I think I'm going to put this back up now. Worried that we'll be put into a Geordie pie this weekend. Why do you feel that? Why are you like? I mean, we are as good a team as them. Our first 11 is as good as them. We've had some tough challenges this season, and we've overcome them. We're not beaten yet, and we have played tough opponents. I think there's a chance that we could lose. Of course, it's an even match though, so I think you just got to go in feeling positive. No.
I know that. What injuries have they got? Only Isak.
Oh, loads. Isak. I mean, they have loads of injuries. Let me try and get them up because they are.
They've got no Tonelli, have they?
No, I wouldn't bet on him playing again. Da, 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 da. No, I mean, did you hear that? He one of the people in the press conference asked Eddie Howe if it was true that Tonali had a bet on him being the first manager to get sacked. He said apparently one of the bets that Tonali put on was Eddie Howe would be the first manager to be sacked, and I just thought that is so funny. I hope that's true.
I can't believe they asked him it, to be honest.
Well, he was quite good at it. He dealt with it quite well. But yeah, it was like I don't know what the latest on Tonali is, but he's out. They are energized and we're stuttering. Yes, although we're out. But we're stuttering. On the weekend we weren't stuttering. It goes as quick as that. I think I'm okay with the players who played yesterday stuttering, and Odegaard came on and did really well. Martinelli was a pointless substitution. He didn't improve anything at all. I think that Declan Rice came on and changed the game a little bit. I think starting with Declan Rice is going to be different. But Newcastle, yeah, they do have some.
I'll tell you what, I wasn't very impressed with the West Ham fan base booing Declan Rice.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, obviously I wasn't there, but it didn't sound like a lot of them. But listen, you know what? Who am I to tell them?
They don't realise what the lad brought to their game.
They do. They won. He's one of only 3 captains to lift a trophy, so they know. But they're hurting. Like you see, the woman that you love leaves you to go to another guy, and then comes to your birthday party. You're not gonna. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I love West Ham fans. I genuinely can't think of one I've met that I haven't thought, what, brilliant person. And what I like about West Ham as well is the fan base isn't just men, and it's never been. It's a real family club. It's a real, you're a Hammer and you go and I think that's brilliant. And I've envied them for that for a bit. I think the new stadium's not really for them, but they've at least got some silverware to parade around it now. I think that some of them booed him. That's their prerogative, I can't. Yeah. I don't know if we had that when obviously Zami Nasri we booed. Adebayor, everyone should boo. I don't remember us giving Sanchez a warm welcome. When have we ever given any of the players who left us? I mean, Thierry Henry, fair enough.
Yeah, but it's just part of it, isn't it? And I suppose at the end of the day, it is just a little bit of banter, isn't it?
Yeah, I think deep down, if Declan Rice walked around outside Upton Park after the game, people would be going up to him and asking for his autograph and telling him they loved him. But, a mob, which is all a football fan is when they're in a crowd, we often say things that we don't really mean, Sorry about that, Posh Spice, like we didn't really. It's like,
what's Leon about here? Nor have Spurs. What was that?
Oh, he answered that. Yeah. Nor have Spurs. Won anything in living memory? I don't know.
It must be that, yeah.
Brady had a good welcome at Highbury as a West Ham United player. Yeah, but I mean that all right, but that wasn't the season after he left. That was what 5 years later. It does happen. I mean, Merson got a good welcome back when he was at Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Lost.
What's your thoughts on Eric 10th place? Mate,
Dead man walking. What's they ring a bell, don't they, on death row? A ding, 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 dead man walking. I like it because I've been really creative about it. I've been ill all week, so I've been laid up and I've had loads of time to think. And I've had the whole, he's basically his zombie. I've been watching a lot of Mark Goldbridge, and he's like, we can't get rid of Ten Hag because it would cost too much to sack him, and who would we bring in? And I'm like, yep, totally agree with that. Definitely keep him because the players seem to love playing for him.
I think they've shown. I actually think they're down tools again.
Yeah, they have, and they're going to keep doing it. I mean, you got some. I said at the beginning of the season, I think that Fernandes is the wrong choice for captain. Dreadful. I'm not ready to say I was wrong yet.
Neither.
But is he going to give it back to Maguire? Who's the name of captain in that team? There isn't one.
There isn't one. But basically, you look at Bruno. All he does is moan at refs. Throws his arms around. He looks like a little child on the pitch, and there's no example there.
Anthony's having a full-on nervous breakdown, as far as I can tell. Jadon Sancho literally has down tools. Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans is a centre-back partnership. I mean, Luke Shaw's out injured, so fair enough. But I mean, he hasn't got clue one, has he? Mount yesterday, every shot they were taking came down with snow on it. You just think, I love it. It was this is really interesting to me, Chalkers. It was a fascinating comparison with him, Rocky, in the number 7 shirts. Who? Because I think Rocky reminds me, Saka reminds me so much of Rocky. I'd love him. I just think, those two players.
I think Martinelli, he reminds me of a cross between Roberto Baggio and R9, the real Ronaldo.
Big words. Bloody hell. I hope. Brady and Rocky. Yeah, totally. Look, Chalkers, not to self-advertise, but I did a video on Arsenal's greatest number 7s. Brady's in there, obviously. Armstrong's in there. Rocky, for me, he's my generation. He was I loved Rocastle for me was, especially in a George Graham side, where you had to work really hard. Rocky would get into Arteta's team. So would Brady, let's be honest. Yeah. Brady would be a perfect... Oh, mate. Yeah, all right. R9. That's lit. I dream. Yeah, Baggio and R9. Okay.
That's a bit bold, is it?
All right. Well, R9, greatest player of his generation, arguably the greatest player, one of the greatest players of all time. I think that's pretty bold, definitely. Baggio possibly, definitely the greatest player of his age group in Italy for a while there. Beautiful player. The best Italian player of his age. Martinelli reminds me of Chris Waddle. So now I've got the sublime and the listen. No to Chris Waddle.
So we've gone from
he doesn't
Chris
play
Waddle.
I think he's fast. He comes across as faster than Chris Waddle's without the perm mullet. Yeah, I think that would be a good look for him, though. I want to see them come back. I want to see players.
Their biggest achievement was Top of the Pops, wasn't it? That song, was it Diamond Lights?
Diamond Lights. Something like that, wasn't it? It was it's beautiful. I watch that now and again on YouTube just to remind me of what it is to be Spurs. That's the only truth. Tottenham. So, I think R9 is, for me, he's one of the top 5 players who ever lived. Yeah. So if Martinelli is that, then great. And if he's a cross between that and Baggio, superstar. Do you think it's weird that he won't play through the middle? He doesn't seem to want to play through the middle at all.
I find that odd too, because for me, I believe it would be his best position. And the times when we saw him, when they were playing a false 9, and we had Trossard and him flipping, didn't we? I thought that was brilliant. I thought it was working.
Come on, Waddle was a great player. Yeah, I'm not even saying he wasn't a great player. I liked Waddle. I liked him at Marseille. I liked him in the England shirt. But he doesn't play like Martinelli. He didn't play like Martinelli. He was good running with the ball, but he wasn't. It seemed like he wasn't pacey. He wasn't quite as direct. But he was a great player, and he had a great few seasons alongside that player called Pele at Marseille. I remember watching quite a lot of them.
I didn't mind Waddle, but I'm pleased he can stay where he was.
Waddle at Sheffield Wednesday, as I probably saw more of him at Sheffield Wednesday than anywhere else, and he was good, but he wasn't great. Well, who have we got here? Andrei Kanchelskis. Yeah, he was good, but he was good for a couple of years. He was crap for a couple of years as well. I don't think I think Martinelli's better than Kanchelskis. I think he's better than I think he's top 5 in the world right now.
Do you think, just going back to Havertz, I know we kind of killed that one, but does he remind you a little bit of Tory Andrew Flo that used to play for Chelsea?
Yeah, I see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Bit kind of Bambi-esque, a bit tall, not quite comfortable with his own height or something. I just think, But
that's how Kanu was, wasn't he? The same thing with his weird legs.
So you'll have to say that again. I lost you for a moment.
I think Kanu was.
I lost you for a moment. Say that again.
Kanu was like that with his Bambi legs as well, wasn't it? Kanu.
Oh, Kanu was the ultimate. I mean, size 14 shoes. And you go wow. There's a goal he scored in the Champions League, I think, or it might even have been the UEFA. And he gets the ball and he does this thing with his legs, and the keeper gets so bamboozled, he basically scores without ever touching it. It was classic Kanu. And then there's that hat trick in the rain. Kanu, here we go. Kanu was more graceful. Kanu was beautiful. I got in a cab once, right outside Highbury, on a night out. There wasn't a match on or anything. Me and 3 mates got in this cab, and the cab driver's a Nigerian guy, and he starts saying, "Oh, are you Arsenal fans?" And we were like, "Yeah." He goes, "I can tell you a secret about Kanu." He goes, "He's not the age he says he is." And we were like, "Well, everyone says that about African players." And he goes, open the glove box. And I'm sitting in the passenger seat, open the glove box, pull it out. He goes, "That's my school football photograph," right? Pulls it out. I pull it out. It's got a guy who looks the spit of Kanu in the front row. Sorry, like at the back. He does. I mean, he looks epically like Kanu. He goes, "I went to school with Kanu. I know exactly how old he is." And it's funny. It's like, yeah, he was like, I can't remember, but like Kanu, there's all that's come up since about the Nigerian birth certificates.
Yeah.
Who's Crouch without the goals? He's on about Havertz. No, he's not Crouch without the goals. No, I'm not having that. Crouch. Listen, I haven't. Do you know what? I think our biggest complaint about Havertz is he hasn't imposed himself on games. He hasn't played terribly though. And I'm not saying Crouch played badly, but they're different players, aren't they?
Hey, apologies, Dan, but my wife wants to go out for lunch.
Tell her no. That's what you do, isn't it? So, got commitments. To be honest with you.
Oh, God,
yeah,
I'm blaming you.
Lee told me to say it. He typed it in the chat box.
Bloody hell.
You're the one that wants my attention on your holidays.
Well, yeah, I'm on holiday. Work.
All right, let's not have a domestic online.
Go on. Good luck. If I see you next week with a black eye, I'll know to call someone for you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to love you and leave you, mate. So apologies.
No, it's good. It's good talking to you as ever. And until I see you again, be lucky.
Yeah, I'll speak
Thanks
to you
everyone
soon,
for watching. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Pete.